morning and welcome back. I can't do it. She gets kicked because I go, let me do this. Let me say, hold on. Good morning. Is that okay?
That's it.
She gets it. All right, I did it for her. Good morning, boy. Now you got me thinking about it every time I do it. See what you done to me?
I'm sorry.
We've got the most wonderful young lady that serves our community so well for EMA, Miss Susan Susan Harris. I kept saying I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I know you for what?
A long
15
time.
years now. You're just a baby.
Right.
I'm getting out of trouble.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, we were talking about sirens and things like that. The important thing is, folks, even though it's kind of like hurricanes and things, we're getting right up on hurricane season. I mean,
Actually, this month is our peak season for tornadoes, March, April, and May.
Wow.
Which, lately I can't tell when my seasons start and stop because it's all year long. So
it does seem that way, doesn't it? I know we're not going to get into conspiracy theory stuff here, but black helicopters and Men in Black and all that, but it has changed a lot over the years, just since you've been involved in it. You used to be able to say, okay, this month to this month is this, and that to that, and this to that, and be ready for that. Now, you can have a hurricane just about any time of the year. Some of these storms that we're having over the winter are actually hurricanes, but with snow up north and things like that. People are like, hurricane force winds. Well, what do you do when you got a low pressure system that's over 70 miles an hour?
Right.
It's a hurricane.
Right.
And, but they don't want to say those words, I guess, on national TV and say, hey, we're having a winter hurricane.
Right.
But tornadoes have been year round.
Right.
I mean, even down here we've had, I remember March was like, what was it? No, it was February, I think it was, in Birmingham. I was driving across or going up Interstate 65, and one of the biggest tornadoes, this is back in the 90s, came across the interstate right in front of me. And I was like, what time of year is this? It was cold outside, rainy. Tornado right there. So, folks, if you hear the horn, it's not a maybe, okay? It is a fact that something is coming your way. Not every tornado touches down.
Right. We've had a lot of funnel clouds lately.
Yeah, I've seen a couple myself, and I get in awe of them. I'm like, wow, because that's a amazing nature wonder, but it's not one for me to be standing out there and looking at and going towards you.
Exactly.
But they got that funnel, and then all of a sudden they get that little tail that comes down. That little tail turns into a half-mile wide, funnel on the ground and hurting and killing and all sorts of stuff. All right, let's go real quick. We're going to get to that. What happens when we have a major event, as you call it, in our area? What's the first thing a person should do in their neighborhood?
Well, first of all, they should assess their surroundings, making sure everybody's okay, check on neighbors, their family, not stepping out on a zone that they are not familiar with. We don't want people trying to do anything that they're not comfortable with, but make sure that everything's safe around them, and then they need to report their damage. They can report it to our office or to 911 center or anywhere like that. The reason is because when we actually have to start in after the recovery phase and we start trying to get the dollar figures together, we have to send that up to state, and then state has to come down and do a damage assessment, and then they send it to the federal government, and then the federal government comes down. We do another damage assessment with all of them, and then maybe we're declared, and there's funds and other things that can be available.
Now,
for
is
the
it automatic? Is FEMA automatic like an insurance company? Once you got damage and it was a natural disaster, and oh boy, that just hit me like a brick. Florida, okay, I know we're not there, but that guy in his house talking about weird things happening. You heard about that, right?
I don't know what you're talking about yet.
The guy in Brandon, Florida, was asleep in his house.
Oh yeah.
And a sinkhole opened up. It's not funny, but that tells you something. I mean, It's like a tornado just touching down in the bedroom and it's
Mhm.
sucked up and gone.
Mhm.
But there's that can, I mean, I don't know if sinkholes happen in Alabama, but my goodness, natural disasters are right there.
Mhm.
You don't know. You can be laying in bed, said goodnight to everybody, and then all of a sudden you're gone.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important to be prepared. I don't know
Right.
how you prepare for a sinkhole like that, but there's no reason in the world not to wake up for a tornado.
Right.
I mean, you got your National Weather Service radio.
Mhm.
That thing should be going off with all sorts of weird sounds and
Mhm.
waking you up, and then you should be listening to it. Then you should take shelter right away.
Right.
And let's say in a house, let's say wood frame house. There's a lot of wood frame homes. No other structure around, no concrete, no anything. What should they do?
Go to the centermost part of the house. Try to get in a small area, closet, bathroom, no windows around. But and the thing is you need to look at your surroundings now before the tornado. I get calls when the sirens are going off.
What should I do?
I live in a trailer. Where am I supposed to
Get
go?
out.
And I'm like, ma'am, you have got to take care of yourself and your family prior to a disaster. You
Right.
have got to make plans. A neighbor's house, something at your church if you can have time to go to your church nearby. Or we don't have shelters like that. Red Cross don't have shelters
Right.
like that. Our shelters that Red Cross have are after the fact, after a disaster comes through, a place to go. They're not sturdy enough facilities to do prior to a storm coming through. And there's no way on tornado warnings we can activate a shelter like that just,
Right.
for that 15 minutes it comes through for you to get there. You have got to make plans at your home or nearby to take care of yourself.
And if you live in a mobile home, hear what both of us are saying. Make plans to get out.
Yes.
Don't stay in a mobile home. It's like an electromagnet for a tornado to come to a mobile home, and they're not safe
No,
at all.
they're not.
And you may have them tied down. You may have built a frame around them. You may have done so many things, but they're not safe.
No.
And that metal is very sharp when it starts breaking apart, and yeah, it's not a good thing. But all right, now brick home, you find.
Yes. It's a safer facility to be in. Again, the centermost part of the house. The tornadoes I worked in April in North Alabama, brick homes flat as can be. There's nothing standing. Again, it's just you're going to your safe place that you have right there. It's not saying that you're going to live through it, but it's safer.
It's the effort. Now, we're talking about tornadoes. There's another phenomenon that happens in these thunderstorms or fronts that come through, and it's called the wind shear, or straight line wind.
Mm-hmm.
People confuse that a lot with a tornado, but it's as dangerous as a tornado.
And
right?
we've had several systems lately that was the issue. And like you said, it causes the same damage. It's just a different effect. There's no circular motions going on in that like a tornado. It's pretty much like straight down, like a bomb has gone off, and there's the wind.
It's a downburst is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And winds of 150, 200 miles an hour. And sometimes they don't hit the ground level. They just kind of go across the treetops, and you'll see the trees just busted off the top, and pines. And the way I tell when I go out to cover it, you taught me that, and if it's just broken off and everything leans in one direction, that's straight line.
Right.
If it's twisted and things are in a circular pattern, that's a tornado.
Right.
And
still damage though.
Yeah. Oh, it's still dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to a young man that was out in Texas here not long ago, and he was standing watching in I call it a breezeway, and a straight line wind came down and it blew some trees and stuff away. He ended up getting shrapnel with the tree spikes in him, and literally like shards of tree went into him. Almost killed him. He sat there. He said, I didn't see no funnel cloud, but boy, did I see everything start getting blowed up. And
Right.
he said, I was watching it to find out what it was.
Right.
Not a good thing. Again, underground is the best way.
Yes, it is.
And people sit there and they go, wow, that's expensive. but there are programs out there.
I just, well, actually, it's taken a long process. It's 2 years ago, I guess, I filed for the grant to get the underground shelters, and we had 41 applicants from people out in the county that are going to put the shelters down at their homes. This program is a 75-25 match. The federal government pays 75% of it, and you have to pay 25% of it, up to $4,000.
Wow.
I feel like in the next year we'll get another grant like that. It's called hazard mitigation money. And if we do, I will apply for that, and then I'll publicize it open it up to the entire county, and whoever's interested, they'll just have to fill out an application for that grant.
What's an average, what we're looking at one here on a piece of paper right now, but it's a round ball that goes underground and it's got the door on top of the ground. What's something like that cost?
Well, it depends on, you can get them any way you want, but you can do it from like 4 to 6 people or 8 to 10, depending on the size of it. But you're talking where $4,500 to $6,000 from that range.
That ain't bad to save your life.
And that's, I mean, installation, they'll come down and put it in for you. And it has to be through my program. There have to be certain shelters. They have to be FEMA approved shelters.
So in other words, you can't just get anybody to come put one in. So
Not through my program now. If you want an individual to just do it in their own home and pay all the fees for it, you know, you can get anything. But
well, here's a thought I had when you said 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever different sizes. I guess a local community could put together and put one in the ground together. That would be kind of feasible, I would think, wouldn't you?
When I got the information on this grant, I sent it out to all the trailer parks that I had the information on and stuff like that. I didn't get any response from them on that. So I would love to see, you know, communities step up, even like our small communities around, and you can do like even above ground shelters, and they'll be safer than a lot of the homes that people live in.
Well, it's called, you know, common sense and taking a little bit of pride out of the system, because, you know, I don't want to sit down there for 4 or 5 hours for somebody. Usually in a tornado, it's only minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about that. We're going to talk about the Emergency Preparedness Expo at the Covington County Emergency Management Agency, which is you putting it off, and it's going to cost a lot of money to go to this thing, but there's going to be a lot of vendors out there, a lot of people that will help you plan. Serpro went through their list that they're going to be giving out of planning how to identify your stuff and how to have it set up, and which I didn't have it here when we had the fire. Boy, I'll tell you, what a humbling experience it is to go through a disaster. And you sit back and you just, even every morning I get up, I look around, we got fresh paint on the walls, remodeled the house a little bit, and I'm like, wow. You know, I remember what it was before the fire, I remember what it was during the fire, and I remember what it was after the fire, and all that sticks right here forever. A disaster is a disaster. And how do you prepare for it? Well, we're going to tell you how in a few moments. Susan, thanks so much for coming in and sticking with us through the hour. Folks, we'll be back with more right after this with Susan Harris from the EMA here in Covington County. Folks, it's no joke. I mean, when this stuff comes in, the last thing I want to do is read your name on the air that you were killed in a weather incident or a natural disaster. Be prepared. I'd rather have you sitting out there telling me, oh, wow, you should have seen what happened when we were in our shelter, or, you know, something like that. That's a good story, that you made it through a disaster. But I see it too many times. I mean, can you imagine that man in his home in Florida, his family? They're devastated, just like that, middle of night. Who would have thunk that? We'll be back with more right after this.
Keep it real.
Keep Jesus in it. We love y'all. She got it. She got it. But thanks a lot, folks. We'll be right back with more with Susan Harris. We'll do it right after this.